Afternoon, one and all, and welcome to episode 200 and try again, 285 of Love at First Scent with me, Persolaise, coming to you live from YouTube. As always, please do consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't already done so. And for the benefit of those of you watching live, I know, because there have been quite a few comments about this lately. I know that those of you watching live do actually make up a minority of the overall audience, but for the benefit of those of you watching live, the rough plan for today is that we're going to do 3 short separate videos back to back. One on a brand new brand, one on a new scent from a brand that we have talked about on this channel before, and one a 21st century release that has already become a vintage classic because it is no longer available in this form. But I won't say any more because these are the sort of statements that annoy people who watch the recording. But whether you're watching the recording or whether you're watching live, you are very, very welcome. And appropriately enough, the first comment today goes to somebody who says, never heard of this brand, and that is Leah. Thank you very much for tuning in and for pointing out that it's worthwhile talking to you about this brand if you've never heard of it, because I think you may want to check them out. Rich Mitch is here as well. Joanna is saying hello from Milan. I wonder what on earth you could possibly have been doing there. Long time no see, catching live from the airport. Katsy is watching from Edinburgh. Natalia Dagger is saying hello from Liverpool. We've got Georgie watching from Melbourne, Australia, and Emily all the way on the other side of the world watching from Quebec. And DJ says, a friend told me about this brand. Okay, keep the comments coming, keep the questions coming. I promise I will read them all in due course, even though I may not be able to keep tabs on all of them now. So what is this brand? And why did I feel that I needed to do a showcase of it for you? It's called, as you can see, Lilanur. And you may just be able to make out at the top there that next to the word grass, because of course all perfume brands have to be related in some way to grass, right? But you have got, I think more intriguingly, Madurai, which is a city, a town in the south of India, I believe, in the Tamil Nadu region. And quick bit of context in the sense of how I came to know of this brand. I was invited to their launch in Harrods, which took place just a few days ago, but unfortunately I wasn't able to go. And there wasn't anything that particularly made me think that this would be a brand that you know especially needed my attention. I genuinely was not able to go. It wasn't that I was playing hard to get or anything. And so the brand very kindly offered to send me this discovery set of their scents. And I opened the discovery set, as you do. And I thought, well, let's go for the rose, because each one is named after an ingredient. I thought, let's go for the rose. And I smelt it, and I thought, ooh, this is rather good. And then straight after the smelling the rose, I smelt the vetiver. And with the vetiver as well, I thought, this is rather good. And I have since then smelt, I think, most of them. I have not been able to resist. There is just one that I have saved for this video, and that's the jasmine. Because after having smelt about 3 or 4 of them, I thought, okay, we need to bring this brand to your attention, because on the strength of what I have smelt so far, it is good stuff. It is quality stuff, with a few reservations, and we will get onto those reservations in due course. I would like to, I think if we can, I'd like to smell every single one of them here with you quite quickly, maybe spray all of them and then do a blotter update a little bit after the broadcast is over. You can see them there, just ordinary vials. So is that going to stay there? Whoa, okay. I think we're all right. The brand was set up very, very recently by a lady called Anita Lal and a chap called Paul Austin. In fact, I may as well just sort of read a little bit of brand history to you. This is their statement, okay? So it says, Lilanur Parfum is our scented love letter to the world from the fields and forests of a rich and diverse land. As a fine fragrance brand out of India, we celebrate its majestic flora and honor our ancient olfactive heritage of creating deeply sensuous oils such as attars, a uniquely Indian scenting tradition. Apparently there are attars as well, and allegedly they are pretty good as well, but I haven't smelled them, and I don't know when I'll be able to get to Harrods to smell them, but anyway, we'll worry about that later. Then it goes on to talk about attars. For the launch collection, 4 of France's most revered perfumers, so get this list: Honorine Blanc, Olivier Cresp, Fabrice Pellegrin, and Clément Gavary, each with a shared passion for the rich fragrance culture of India, were invited to compose a scent using an iconic Indian ingredient as their muse and starting point. By bridging tradition with innovation, we sustain the world's oldest living flora culture and extend India's fragrant dialogue with the world. Look, we've got a comment here from El Tercer Hombre. What's tercer? Is that third? Are you le troisième homme? Am I right there? Persolaise, and so the third, is it? Somebody help me out, because my Spanish is rubbish. But he says, or she says, the tuberose is the best tuberose I have ever smelled. I went in to buy carnal flower and left with Rajni Nocturne, which is the tuberose. See? But Christine is already highlighting one of the reservations that we will get onto, because she says the attars are £340. Gulp. Yep. We will get onto that, I'm sure. Honorine Blanc says, Woozy, I guess Black Opium was very successful. So as I say, Anita Lal and Paul Austin are the co-founders. Paul Austin, you will be able to get a lot of this information if you're interested by just Googling these names. But Paul Austin has got a long and illustrious history at Givaudan. Anita Lal is an Indian businesswoman, entrepreneur, charity worker, fundraiser. The Lal surname, I mean, you know, she's part of a hugely successful family, one of the richest families in the world, certainly one of the richest families in Asia. I believe the Lal family own the company that also owns Royal Enfield Motors. Before this video, I tried to do a little bit of research to see whether it's the same Lal family that also own the chain of Lal supermarkets across the Middle East. I wasn't able to find that out. I suppose there could be a couple of, I mean, Lal is not exactly an uncommon Indian surname, but anyway, lots of money here. Okay, so this isn't a quiet little back room startup with somebody pouring precious ingredients into bottles and labeling them themselves. There is money here. Obviously, they have been able to hire top perfumers, and they have been able to get into Harrods. But having said that, already people are sort of thinking that this sounds less exciting because of the price. Having said all of that, the quality of what I have smelt so far is pretty good. So I would like to smell the one that I haven't smelt yet, which is the jasmine, and that's called Malli Insolite. I mean, I don't know, is Malli jasmine the word for jasmine? This is by Honorine Blanc. So let us see. I do have to say, I do like some more than others. You know, it's absolutely not a kind of unreserved love for all of them. And price is one reservation, as I have already implied, but I do have another reservation, which I will talk about in a moment. But I've been really curious to try the jasmine. So let us see. Are you impressed with the appropriately Indian kurta that I'm wearing? Lulu hypermarkets in Dubai, says Lagan. Well, I don't know. Are Lulu owned by Lal? I don't know. Okay. See that's a nice jasmine as well, but not as huge and blooming and indolic as I might have expected based on what I smelt from the other ones. Let's just give that a moment to develop. What does the brand actually say about it? An alluring perfume in which the beautiful floral scent of iconic Indian jasmine is enhanced by intriguing mineral notes. Yes, it's almost a kind of salty aquatic jasmine, which certainly makes it interesting. Maybe that's what they thought they needed to do to just set it apart from the many jasmines that are out there. And a quote from Honorine Blanc: "Walking through Madurai's fields of jasmine is my most unforgettable memory of India. Here I wanted to contrast its lush floralcy with a modern facet of woody minerality." Oh, and Prashant says Malli means gardener in Hindi. That's like that book, Old Marley and the Boy, right? So do you think that's what it means? Could be, I suppose. But what if it's not meant to be here? What's the language of the Tamil Nadu region? Is it like No, Kerala is Malayalam, right? I don't know. There are so many. There are hundreds of languages in India, aren't there? So, Angelica says, "Did you say salty aquatic jasmine? I'm a jasmine holic." Yeah, I mean, certainly. This is actually throwing a spanner in the works as far as one of my reservations is concerned. But we should do some more smelling, and we'll come to it. So yes, the jasmine is a little bit of a surprise because based on the rose, based on the tuberose, I thought it would be a sort of much more predictable soliflor but a gorgeous quality type scent. And it's not. It's got that mineralic quality, which will be fascinating to see how it develops, because they're the sorts of notes that that don't always develop very well. Okay, moving on. Let's actually just go in order. Then there's the one that somebody's already mentioned, the Rajni Nocturne, Night Tuberose. And I actually sprayed this on skin. It was one spray and it lasted forever. And it was just so spot on, just so well done. Yeah, okay, so immediately you're there. You're seeing the garlands. It's got that intoxicating, almost overly heady quality to it. And this one is by Clément Gavary, who, unless I'm mistaken, made Panorama for Olfactive Studio, which, as you know, I love. So this one, they say, the narcotic scent of night blooming tuberose is boosted by notes of jasmine, ylang ylang, and soft musks, conjuring the atmosphere of an enchanted Indian evening. And a quote for the perfumer. I love the fact that they've given real pride of place to the perfumers here. A balmy Indian twilight, a balmy Indian twilight saturated with the heady scent of the night queen, moonlit tuberose in all its sensuous opulence. Now, whether or not the perfumers actually said this is another matter, but never mind. At least they're giving them due credit. Jenny says, I'm on a white flower kick as of late. Just ordered Honor 43, as in Amouage Honor 43. Am I allowed to say that I think it's beautiful? Go big, yes. Yeah, go big, go big. And you can't go much bigger than Honor 43. So the tuberose is a really, really beautiful tuberose. I wonder if any of you are going to be able to work out as I go through these what my one of my sort of main reservation is going to be. Then we get to the first one I smelled from the range, which is the rose, which they've called Gul Rouge. And Gul, I think, is rose, but also I don't know, because certainly in Farsi, Gul is also just the word for flower, unless I'm mistaken. And I don't know if you'll be able to make out the color there, but when I saw the color of that, I thought, oh, well, that's encouraging for a rose perfume, as long as it hasn't been artificially colored. Leah says, do these smell like they use a high percentage of quality naturals? Yes, a high percentage. Well, certainly naturals that have been well blended, skillfully blended. The rose is really good as well. It's a really beautiful rose. The rose took me back to a memory that I haven't thought of, I haven't recollected for the longest time. And I tried to work out exactly where in India this was, because appropriately enough, it took me straight back to India, to the very first time I visited India, which was just a few years into this century. I think it may have been 2004, maybe it was 2006. I think 2004. Whichever year the Olympics were taking place in Athens, that was the year when I went to India, because I remember people watching the opening ceremony with Bjork performing when we were in India. I'm going to say 2004. And we went to Agra, and then we had a day trip to the building complex that you go to, that everybody goes to, just outside Agra, a short drive from Agra. You can see the Taj Mahal from it, but I cannot remember what it was called. I will be able to find out, but I'm sure some of you watching, like maybe Prashant, you can tell us. I don't know which part of India you're from. And just outside this building complex was a chap selling some rose oils. So of course I had to smell them. And this is what this stuff smells like. It immediately took me back to this guy standing outside this building trying to flog these rose oils. And what is it? What is it? What is it about it that particularly made me think of that? El Salina says 2004. Thank you. I thought it was 2004. There is Fatehpur Sikri. Thank you very much, Prashant. This is why I do these videos live. Fatehpur Sikri, a short distance away from Agra. Thank you very much. Beautiful place to visit, by the way. So it ticks the rose boxes in the sense that it's got that milky, creamy, slightly peppery quality that you expect from rose, but there's also something really beautifully dusty, but kind of terracotta dusty about it. You know how some roses, and I'm talking about the flowers, go this fantastic kind of auburn shade, sort of rusty colors, maybe a little bit like this, actually, like maybe this stripe. It's that type of color rose that that color smell that I get from this. And maybe it's something about the other ingredients that have been used in this one. Maybe there's something particular about the sort of extraction method that is used to get the oil or the absolute from this particular variety of rose. I'm not sure, but somehow I smelt this and I thought, this is the Indian rose. And again, because I did wear this on skin a couple of days ago, I think there's also a more pronounced woody quality to it. You know, the way some woody perfumes start reminding you of, dare I say it, a furniture polish, but some manage to stay on the right side of furniture polish and they smell good, whereas others just tip over too much and all you can think of is furniture polish. This is kind of linking the rose to that, but in a really beautifully compelling Moorish way. This one is by the one and only Fabrice Pellegrin. And the brand says Gul Rouge captures the fresh, pure, dewy quality of roses as they're warmed by the sun's first rays outside a temple at dawn. See, I don't know about fresh, pure, and dewy. This is. I think it's actually dirtier in a really, really compelling way. Quote from him: "I wanted to recreate the dewy redolence of early morning temple roses and their awe-inspiring elemental beauty." By terracotta, do you mean the Guerlain perfume? No. I just mean like the color, the earth. No reference to the Guerlain at all. Let's do the others really, really quickly because I want to get to the last one. The last one is pretty special too. So the fourth one, at least in this the fourth one is the Vetiver. Yeah, that's by Clément Gavary as well. You regular viewers will know that I have a difficult relationship sometimes with vetivers, but this one was interesting. This one is called Vettiver Mousson, maybe a link to the Hermès, I don't know. They say a sophisticated, nuanced perfume that evokes the transition from summer to monsoon season in India, when a flush of jasmine mingles with the grassy scent of vetiver. And it's a good vetiver. At least it opens as a good vetiver. It's it's all those adjectives that you want to associate with vetiver. So it's licorice-like, it's smoky, it's earthy, it's rooty. It's got a kind of sort of charcoal feel to it. It's green and grapefruity, but not overly so. And I think, I mean, I don't think I necessarily would have thought jasmine had the description there not included, but there is a kind of floral, open freshness to it that ties in really, really well. Then we get to the two, which I suppose for me are the bottom of the list of my favorites, but maybe given time I may change my mind. So we've got Davana Cedre by Honorine Blanc again. The cedar note in it I thought was great, but it perhaps didn't sort of strike me as being especially layered or complex. I mean, as I say, smelling it again now, the cedar is really, really good. What they say is the balsamic fruitiness of Davana, a herbaceous Indian plant used in worship, harmonizes with warm, grounding cedar in this sensual and spiritual scent. And Honorine supposedly said, cedarwood has always been elemental and androgynous. I wanted to accent it with the sweet herbaceous tonality of Davana used in the beautiful floral garlands of southern India. And I mean, as a cedar scent, it's great. There's almost like a kind of iris quality to it as well that at times reminded me of Ralph Schwieger's Iris Nazarena for Aedes de Venustus. Speaking of which, I need to check out the new Aedes scents somehow, but I don't know how to get samples of them. So, you know, absolutely it ticks all the boxes and reflects high quality of materials, I think. And then, are you ready for this? There is an oud, but don't switch off yet, because this isn't really an oud. It's called Agar Epice, so, or Epice, I think they're called it. So spiced oud or spicy oud. But I think it's accurate to say that the emphasis actually is on the spice rather than the oud. This one, somebody somewhere, I think the comments already, Eric, I've already seen Eric's comment. Yes, Eric, you're right. So well done to you. I will come back to that comment that Eric made. And Lagondam says, any Nila Vermeer vibes with the oud? Yes, because I smelled the Agar Epice and I immediately thought, oh, hello, Traillis. If you have not checked out Traillis from Nila Vermeer Creations, you absolutely need to, because it is without any question one of the most beautiful perfumes created this century, if not maybe like in the last 50 years. Bertrand Duchaufour made it for Nila Vermeer. And the Traillis from Nila Vermeer is just the most impeccably balanced combination of what you would consider to be traditional Indian spices. So it's got cinnamon, it's got saffron, it's got the sort of milky dessert notes, it's got a beautiful sandalwood in there, it's got the most amazing jasmine in there, fantastic rose note, all of these things vying for attention and yet just perfectly balanced. And that spicy feel is here as well, albeit much more toned down, much simpler. It's nowhere near as grand, nowhere near as opulent. But I think it's that kind of cinnamon, saffron, jasmine feel that made me think of the Nila Vermeer. The oud note it's not a kind of stinky barnyard animalic oud at all. It's more a kind of woody warmth. So don't worry if you're thinking, oh my God, I can't be doing with another oud. This really is about the spices. This one was also made by Fabrice Pellegrin, a unique, complex interpretation of oud, in which sparks of ginger, cypriol, and gaiac wood give they note a uniquely bright, spicy facet. Yeah, ginger is a good one to name check there as well. And Fabrice Pellegrin says, I was inspired by the smoky tonality of oud and enveloped it with a mix of abounding Indian spices to create a rich, sensuous aura. And actually, the smoke did make me think of Hermès Agar Epice by Christine Nagel, because that also took its inspiration, as you know, from oud smoke. And finally, we get to the Olivier Cresp, which does not have an ingredient named in its name. So that's why I was intrigued to find out what it would be. And this is a good one too. So retro lovers, watch out. This is called Incarnation, which is, of course, a great kind of name to give to an Indian for a perfume for an Indian brand. Immediately also makes you think of Samsara, because unless I'm mistaken, Samsara in Sanskrit means the circle of life, death, rebirth, so incarnation. And this is the Olivier Cresp one, is the most abstract of the lot, the most baroque, the most retro. It is a really, really rich, extremely long-lasting, swoon-inducing, throw in all of those sorts of terms like that, incensey, woody chypre. And those of you who remember Dolce & Gabbana Sicily, think back to that one. It's that kind of leathery, woody, incensey, old school chypre. It's good stuff. And the jasmine sandal woodiness of it did for a moment make me think of Samsara, but then it kind of goes off in a chypre direction of its own. And for the record, Madame Persolaise did a kind of purr of approval over this one as well. Sounds very intriguing, says ML. Okay, I need the discovery, says Nubionet. There's the discovery set, says Nubionet. I have no idea whether the discovery set is being sold, but yes, I think this is one of the ones that you need to get. A sophisticated and elegant chypre, they say, of Incarnation, in which effervescent aldehydes shimmer atop a floral bouquet of Indian jasmine, rose, and orris, revealing mystical touches of amber, incense, and patchouli in the drydown. And supposedly, Monsieur Cresp said, my ode to the internal love affair between India and France, sensual, luminous, and imbued with heady Indian jasmine, temple incense, and French savoir-faire. So I was sold. But what are my reservations? Very, very quickly, because we're almost at the half-hour mark, and I need to do 2 more videos before we hit the top of the hour. This one I wore last night, and it was definitely still. I just did a couple of sprays here on my left arm, and it was still definitely smelling in the morning. One reservation is price. These are not cheap. I did have a quick look at the Harrods website, and I must confess, my heart sank because I thought, oh my goodness, is this what we are now expected to pay for quality? I don't think that long ago you had to pay. Sorry, to reframe my sentence. I don't think you have to go back very, very far, or you have to look very far back to get to a time when you did not have to, sell a kidney or remortgage your house to get this level of the quality. And I dread to think what's going to happen with prices when all of the other things that are happening in the world start kicking in, like increasing fuel costs, which of course lead to increasing transport costs and storage costs, and not to mention supply chain problems, etc., etc. I mean, are we close to a time when a fairly standard bottle of a fairly ordinary perfume is going to cost us all, £200? Look at what's happening with the Guerlain Aqua Allegorias. Look at how much you have to pay now to get a bottle of Chanel Coco Mademoiselle or Coco Chanel. Oh, Christine says, no way to get the discovery set in the UK, alas. Well, maybe I'll get in touch with the PRs and see if they can do anything there. So that's one reservation, because I think a standard bottle of their EDPs costs something in the region of £240 or £245, which is a lot of money, And my other reservation, as Eric very, very astutely pointed out, is that a lot of them do what they do very well, but I'm not sure that they bring anything particularly new to the table. So the rose is a beautiful rose, but I don't know if it takes rose in a new, interesting, intriguing direction. The tuberose is a beautiful tuberose, but again, it's a beautiful tuberose. Do we need another tuberose like this? I'm not sure. Incarnation was interesting. That jasmine, actually, let me re-smell the jasmine, because that was the first time. So which one was that? That was the Malli Insolite. So that's the one that's supposedly got these mineralic notes. Okay, so I was worried about this, but I will have to I'll give it a proper wearing on skin. It's becoming a little bit less jasminy, a little bit more mineralic. Which, okay, I suppose on one level you could say is interesting, but it's starting to smell a little bit thinner. So that was the only thing, and I thought, okay, if they're doing high quality, not exactly soliflor, but not far from a soliflor type stuff, fine. But it would be great if a little bit more abstraction was brought into the mix. I've said this on this channel before. I think we are ready for a bit more abstraction in perfumery. I think the days of a kind of independent but expensive brand coming out and just name checking in a different ingredient in each perfume, I think those days need to be behind us, and I think we need to start getting into the realms of trying to come up with innovative accords, and just really making us smell things afresh. I don't know if most shoppers out there are ready for that, which is maybe why a brand like this is still doing that kind of single ingredient thing. But personally, I think we need to get to more abstract things, which is why I think on the strength of the sort of initial smell, my favorite has got to be that Incarnation, because at least it is doing it is trying to sort of bring a retro leathery-chypre feel into the mix. But we need to finish because this video has turned out to be far longer than I thought it would be. And as I say, for those of you who are sticking around for the lives, 2 more. So we're going to be back in a moment with a new perfume and then with a vintage perfume that you can't get anymore. But thank you very much for watching this one, and I will see you in a bit. Bye now.